Game started.
Bertul from Spain, I think that is, right? Spain. Okay. I had a request to play the Latvian counter Gambit. So if he plays knight f3 here, I guess I will try it. So Latvian counter Gambit is f5. It looks a bit like a King's Gambit in reverse. But it's different. It's okay, so this is not the main line. It's an interesting way to play. I think you want to go ahead and take the e-pawn in this case. When your opponent lets you take the e-pawn, you probably should in this opening. And we'll see what he does here. He can take my e-pawn, of course, and then I can actually just develop here. This should be okay. The knight here, the queen there. I need to stop the queen check, so the knight out is very important. And then I can try and chase the knight away. And I will have gotten a better position than I deserve out of this. Okay, so he is going after the square f7. Fortunately, I have the move d5 here to block the bishop. So I think this is not the best way for white to play against the Latvian counter gambit. It's the Latvian gambit, I guess it's called. In the old days, it was called the Philidor counter gambit, I think, but that's the modern name. That was in the early part of the 20th century, I guess. Its name changed. Okay, let's see. How do I want to block the check? If I block with the pawn, does he have the idea of sacrificing knight takes, bishop takes, pawn takes? No, there's no sacrifice, so let's just block with the pawn then. Well, the downside of that move is his knight is now sort of permanently cemented there, but I can still develop my bishop to d6 and castle. Maybe play rook to e8 and then try and win a pawn there. If I deliver a check, he will just block it. So I was just thinking if I have a tempo move, it would be better, but I don't see one. So I just want to castle quickly. Because of my exposed king side, I want to get a rook on the open f-file. Get out from checks on this diagonal. And I want to chase the knight away. So I'm just going to castle here and let him take my knight if he wants it. It's a good trade for me. It brings my queen forward, and I'm threatening on f2 immediately if he takes. So he won't take. Now, can he go somewhere to defend that pawn? Knight? Not immediately. So I'm going to play knight to knight d7 with the idea of just taking this knight off, getting him out of the advanced position he holds in my camp here. Okay, so this is a trick. There's a pin on the d file, so my e-pawn is hanging and he can just play knight takes. But I'm going to take his knight first. If he plays knight takes, then I will just retreat my knight and I'll be a piece up. So he will take with a pawn, then I'll grab a pawn and he will grab a pawn. And it'll be even, but my development should be a little better. Materially even. Now I can take the pawn. Now, let's see, is this one of those tricks? Is there a place where I can go? Is this a place where I can sacrifice the queen and win? I guess not. Knight takes, bishop takes, and then there's no great check on his king. So I think just developing like this. Can play bishop takes here and then win the knight that way. If he plays knight takes or bishop takes, I can take back with the bishop. So I'm not worried about the exchange on f6. He could play his queen to e2. That's probably the best move here. Queen e2. But I could still play bishop takes b2. Queen e2, bishop takes b2, rook b1, queen takes knight. Queen takes knight, and then I can take back with the knight. And then he can take my bishop, but I will have gained a pawn in that, and his bishop will be hanging. And I'll be hitting f2. And his bishop will drop back to defend. This bishop is still a bit shut out of the game. We both have the bishop pair. Should be okay. So yeah, white is thinking maybe just castling. Castling is probably pretty simple. Oh, if he doesn't castle, actually there's a simpler way to play, which is queen here check. Oh, the knight can stop the check. Queen here check, knight here, bishop takes check, pawn takes, queen takes check, and the king has to move. Okay, so just queen there, yeah, that's probably good enough. Now, unless there's any funny checks, let's see. Oh, if I take here, knight there is with check. Bishop takes defends the queen, but then queen takes queen, bishop takes, and bishop takes. Okay, so let's threaten the knight this way. So still knight takes. Now I have to take with a pawn, right? If I take with the bishop, again there's that problem of queen takes queen. And bishop takes queen and bishop takes bishop, winning a piece. Now he's got pawn here, but I have pawn takes bishop. Okay, and it's not really a pin on my bishop. My bishop can always drop back to d6, defending my queen. Okay, so another version of the same trick. I can defend this way. Bishop takes, meaning I can't drop my bishop back to defend my queen because of queen takes. Bishop takes. It would work in this case. Bishop here, queen takes, bishop takes would be fine. Still, getting another piece in the game is probably the right thing to do anyway. So I have a choice here between getting an extra pawn in the center or trading the queens. Let's go for the extra pawn in the center. Right now my bishop seems to be a little better than his. And if he castles, I can quickly get onto the G file. I castled that way. So let's see. If I were to play a5, a4, is that a threat? Let's just, how about b5, a5, then a4, trapping the bishop. That's kind of a threat. Okay, I was hitting the D pawn. So rook takes, pawn takes, bishop takes check. King can hide over here in the corner. I think the king is safe. Okay, he's just going to allow some opening up of his king side. Let's bring the queen here and threaten to take. So queen b4, pawn takes b5, and then this pawn hangs. That's annoying. So do I have to play b4 here? How about rook b1? Then pawn takes, I have rook takes. Or maybe I should just take his pawn right away, so he doesn't have pawn takes, so b4. Still opens up a file towards his king. And I was thinking I could defend with queen on c5 here. Also coordinates with the bishop on c2, although he's got that defended. Maybe I can bring rook over to the b file, threaten to sack something. Yeah, rook b8 is probably a good move anyway. Maybe rook b8 to b4, hitting his bishop. If the bishop ever goes to b6, it's there's actually a pin on this pawn, so the bishop is not defended there. Rook b8 leaves the e pawn hanging, which is a bit uncomfortable. Maybe I play here first. Play d4. He's got a check here, and I go to the corner.
Check.
And then he's got the queen there. That's a bit annoying. So if I trade, get the queens off. I still can play rook to b8 here, and this pawn is no longer hanging at least. And I can bring my king out to f6. Looks like a good spot. And nothing, if he does nothing, I can double rooks on the b file, rook to b4 and the other rook to b8. If he pushes the b pawn, I can play a4 to undermine. Yeah, so he goes there. So should I hit the bishop first? Rook here, rook takes, and my bishop is defended, so I could take his bishop, and he gets 2 pawns. Probably good for me. So rook here, he moves or defends the bishop. Then I defend. Where is his bishop going to anyway? Let's attack the bishop and then defend the defend that e pawn if necessary. It's too bad. I want to get my king to f6, but it's one step too far away. 1, 2. I just want to be able to hop to f6. And unfortunately, if I push the e-pawn, it leaves the d-pawn hanging. Let's see. So where does his bishop go? Probably here, right? Just trade it off. It's probably his best bet. But then I could play. Then I could play e4 if he puts his bishop there. Bishop takes, rook takes. No, that's not so good. Yeah, so I might have to trade. Okay, well, let's start getting my king moving then. If he takes, I'll take back with the rook, which will defend the pawn. And if he doesn't take, then I get my king to f6 finally.
Server announcement.
Oh, he takes immediately. I don't know why I didn't see that. So I can take his bishop. And if he takes with the rook, I take the pawn. If he takes, yeah, that's still good for him. Well, I am threatening checkmate. I guess that is one thing I have going for me. Well, it's not checkmate either. So if I take here, and well, this is defended. He could take this pawn. I go check. He goes to that square. Still, I gotta grab pawns while I can.
Check.
Let's see. Let's attack this rook. Yep, so now I've got a check and he's got a square here. Let's defend my pawns first. Now the check would threaten to win a pawn that way, but he's stopping that. Okay, so I'm going to try and march my king forward and gobble up this loose pawn here. To start moving faster here. We're down to the last minute of the game. If he pushes b3, I have my rook to c3. If he pushes c3, I take and win a pawn. And if he goes after the h-pawn, I need to preserve that. Yeah, I need to preserve the h-pawn because if that goes, he's got this outside passed pawn, which will be extremely powerful. If I get my pawn close enough, there's an idea of sacrificing something.
Check.
So, and winning his h-pawn, but here, yeah, maybe he'll let me do it. in a position like this. I can sort of at the last minute take this pawn and then try and queen my own pawn. Okay, so now I take, he takes, I move my king to the side. He checks me, I move my king to the side. I think this will be a draw by repetition. Is there another way to handle it? I could defend this pawn, but I will run out of moves, so I think I need to do this. We'll see if this draws. I'm just thinking he has to stop me from queening.
Check.
And his only way to do it is to check me.
Check.
No, he should sacrifice his rook. That's what he should do.
Check. Check.
So that's a draw.
Game off. Drawn.
Yeah, it was a draw by repetition. So if we back up here, when I defend the pawn, he just takes it, I take, and then he takes these pawns and wins. So that would have been an easy win. Anyway, he was low on time, didn't spot that. So kind of a lucky win for me.
Check, check, check.
I will take it. I'll do a postmortem and see you guys later. Bye.